Dragonforce's Extreme Power Metal returns to what I love about Dragonforce, combining two of my favourite albums, Inhuman Rampage and Maximum Overload. What better way to open this album than with the first track, Highway to Oblivion? This song brings me back to when I first heard Dragonforce, back on Guitar Hero 3, when Through the Fire and Flames was your reward song for completing the game. Highway to Oblivion combines the fast guitars that Dragonforce are well known for with the vocal styles that were used in Maximum Overload, and it combines into this song that is fantastic. I wasn't the biggest fan of their last release back in 2017, but when I first heard this song and when they first released it as a single, I was just amazed. I was so happy to hear this song because it gave me genuine nostalgia for Dragonforce and made me go back and listen to their older stuff and just to go back and be in a Dragonforce mood. And I rarely get that when it comes to music, when it comes to metal. Like when some of the bigger power metal artists like Sabaton come out. I had that with Fields of Verdun. I didn't really have that with the Red Baron. But I've never had it be this much than with Dragonforce's Highway to Oblivion. So yeah, this song is what I love about Dragonforce. Amazing guitar work that's fast and fluid and transitions nicely, with lyrics that are really cheesy but are really compelling at the same time. But speaking of shredding, we now move on to the second track, with the fantastic name, Cosmic Power of the Infinite Shred Machine, and I think that wins Best Named Track of 2019 for me. So how was the song? It's pretty decent. When I first saw the name and how ridiculous it was, I thought they were going to go all out on trying to be as stupid as possible, just being really stereotypical with what Dragonforce is known for. While there is a really nice introductory guitar section at the start of the song, that's not the highlight of this song for me. And that's the vocals, specifically in the chorus, with Mark Hudson going really high on the vocals. And it's nice to see him do it for a little bit longer this time. And I thought it was a great addition to the song. As well as about halfway through the song, there is a bit that dies down. And I know Dragonforce aren't really known for their slower sections, but in this song it works and I really like it. And don't worry, this good feels moves on to the next song, The Last Dragonborn. This is a song about Skyrim, and when I saw the title, that's what I was hoping it was going to be about. So I'm going to be comparing this to a song on Maximum Overload, Symphony of the Night, since they are both in the same kind of style, talking about a video game, and it's not as good as Symphony of the Night. The only reason I knew that this song was about Skyrim is because they mention Whiterun at the start and Tamriel a little bit later on, and like one other thing about the dragons being lost in space and time. Well, that isn't exactly what it is, it's more of an implication. But I feel like they wanted to write a song about Skyrim, but they didn't want to lean too heavily into it. And I think that was a bad thing, not leaning too heavily into it, as I feel like they would have gained a lot of respect from the video game community for doing a song about Skyrim. And the instrumentation in the background with the keyboards doesn't represent Skyrim, it doesn't represent Nordic culture, and it seemed like they were going to be using this song for something else, but this song's lyrics probably came up first, so they probably just combined it all. I mean, listening to a song where there's obviously a lot of more Asian influence at the start doesn't echo Skyrim. So as a video game song, it feels half-assed. As a Dragonforce song, it's still good, but just doesn't feel right. Like, this song doesn't feel right. It's still good, but it just seems like they had a song that they were going to do about Skyrim, and the lyrics were done. Well, I wouldn't say done. I personally think they needed to go into a second rewrite to add more references to Skyrim, but I liked what they did lyrically, I liked what they did instrumentally. It's a fine song, a little bit disappointing though, But Heart Domination, it's also pretty good. Let me tell you why. This song, like Razorblade Meltdown, when we get there, reminds me a bit of the game from Maximum Overload. It has that feeling to it, even though they are completely different stylistically. I just find that whenever Dragonforce talk a lot about life stuff, I always refer back to the game, since that was really the first song where they kind of pushed that. Most of their other stuff was a bit more fantasy, and this one was a bit more down to earth. So that's why whenever I think of songs where they try and be a bit more personal, I always refer to the game. But as a song, it's great. Heart Domination is a good song, with a music video that is a bit weird, but I love. I would say the main highlight of this song is yet again in the chorus, where they decide to change things up and have background singers in it. Now, this song is a bit slower than the past three songs, but it's still good to hear. It shows that they are more versatile when it comes to song structuring. Lyric wise, it's one of the stronger songs on the album. Honestly, overall, the song is fantastic. It's up there with Highway to Oblivion. And listening to this album at this point, I was really happy on my first listen, as I had no issue with any of the songs apart from The Last Dragonborn, but I feel like that was more of a personal gripe. And we are halfway through the album now, talking about track 5, Troopers of the Stars. And to no one's surprise, this is another solid Dragonforce song. It has a fantastic intro that leads into a song that reminds me a lot of Operation Ground and Proud. Now, this song is what you expect when you think of Dragonforce. Fast guitars and lyrics that, on the surface, you don't really need to think about, but sound badass. And Troopers of the Stars is just overall a good song. It is Dragonforce quality, good Dragonforce quality. And to emphasize how Dragonforce of a song this is, there is a long, fantastic solo towards the end of the song that reminds me of their older stuff, like in Human Rampage, where they would have multiple solos. While Troopers of the Stars doesn't do that, it does have a long solo towards the end of the song. So it's time to talk about the final single that they released, Razorblade Meltdown. The song has a misleading piano intro, making you think this song is going to be slower. But don't worry, it goes away after like 15 seconds. So back to what I said on Heart Domination, where this song reminds me a lot of the game because this song is more personal and grounded. While Heart Domination reminded me of the game lyrically, I see Razorblade Meltdown as more of the next step in the style that the game was going for. And I love the song The Game. So when going into this song and hearing it for the first time, I had high hopes. And while the song isn't as memorable as the game, it's still a good song, with the most memorable part being the chorus. And I find it funny the way in the song that they say 2002. I understand why they say it the way they do in the song. I just find it oddly funny. Oh, and I have to give a shout out to the keyboard mini solo that happens in this song. It was nice to see them change it up a little bit, as the fast keyboard solo was a nice change from the more standard solos that you have come to know from Dragonforce. And speaking of Dragonforce stepping out of their comfort zone, it's Strangers. This song is honestly strange for Dragonforce. It is a short song. It's not fast. There is a solo where the guitars start to increase in speed, but apart from that, this is a short song. This song is influenced by a lot of power metal that is inspired by 80s music. So this song is synth heavy, focusing more on the vocals and more on the keyboards than the guitars, trying to have this catchy beat, and it succeeds. I was really surprised by this song. When I first heard this song, I was kind of surprised. I didn't expect them to do this, and I think the song's worked. I think hardcore Dragonforce fans that are in it for the speed might not enjoy the song, but if you're a fan of power metal or just 80s inspired music in general, this is a great song. I feel like this is a song that you don't need to be a fan of Dragonforce to enjoy. I feel like this is a song you can just show anyone, and they would more often than not end up enjoying the song. And yet again, this is another song showing that they're willing to go out of their comfort zone to try something new. And The Skyforged Dragon is a song that's completely the opposite. This is the song on the album that is the most like Inhuman Rampage and their earlier stuff, being short lyrical sections with the guitars being the main focus of the song, reminding me of what makes Dragonforce so special as a band in the first place, and how unique their style was at the time, and that no one has really tried stepping up to the plate and stepping up to them. No one has tried to take Dragonforce and challenge them at their own game. And I don't really know how to transition into Remembrance Day, so I'm just gonna transition now. Remembrance Day is a song that is not Dragonforce in the slightest. This is more normal power metal. So, slower guitars, it's not trying to be speedy at all. It is a more standard flowing power metal song. And you know what? I really enjoyed this song. Some Dragon Force fans might not. I can understand that. Dragon Force has always been this more faster band, and them slowing down just to do a more traditional symphonic power metal song might not be the most welcoming thing to hear. But the song's pretty good. I had no issues with it. I didn't find anything wrong with the song. It's a fine song, and I guess that's all I have to say about it. And now we move on to the final song on the album, My Heart Will Go On. And yes, this is a cover of Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On. And it is amazing. I was blown away by them deciding to do a cover of this song and to make it one of the faster songs on the album. It's kind of funny that they decided to take this extremely slow song that is widely well known and decide, oh yeah, let's just flip that. Let's just do it stupidly fast because, I don't know, I guess they thought it was funny. And you know what? It's still a great song. It doesn't sacrifice anything. It's a great way to end off the album. It's a fun end, and I would love to see more power metal bands do covers like this, as more often than not they end up being genuinely good. And I'm not saying their cover of My Heart Will Go On is good. No, it's fantastic. They're going above and beyond to just make this as ridiculous as possible, while at the same time putting in the effort to making it sound good and feel good to listen to. It's legitimately a fantastic song, and that's not me saying it as a joke. Like, it's amazing. It's super fun to listen to, and again, a great way to end off. So I'm gonna get into the score of this album. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. This album for Dragon Force is amazing. It almost takes it for the best Dragon Force album in my personal opinion. That's still being held by Maximum Overload. And that comes down to one thing for me. The Last Dragonborn. Every time I think about that song or try and go back to listen to it, I see it as a good Dragon Force song. I don't see it as a homage to Skyrim, and why I say it isn't as good as Maximum Overload is when they decided to cover Symphony of the Night as a topic for a song, basing the song on the video game Symphony of the Night. And in Symphony of the Night, they decide to stick a lot more to the source material of Symphony of the Night. And if in The Last Dragonborn, they decided to theme it more around Skyrim and make the song more Nordic and add more references to the story of Skyrim, it would have been a better song and it would have rounded the album out and surpassed Maximum Overload. Honestly, I would have given the album a 10 if they decided to do that, but they didn't, so I'm going to keep it at a 9. But Extreme Power Metal is still worth your time. A fantastic power metal album.